Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm Kay Cook, and I'm going to be reading the runes this morning. I am a spiritualist medium, a rune reader, and a writer. I am the author of Runes and Rainbows, and also of An Odyssey in Iceland, which is the story of how I came to be in Iceland, including the insights and dreams that came along the way. So, good morning, Christine, I can see you there. Good morning, Kelly. I can see people starting to join. Good morning. So I introduced myself, I think, a little bit too soon. So I am going to be reading the runes this morning. I am, also, as well as being a rune reader, I am a spiritualist medium and a writer. I am the author of Runes and Rainbows, which is about my work with the runes. And I am also the author of An Odyssey in Iceland, which is about the story of how I came to be in Iceland, including the insights and dreams that came along the way at various points. And it talks of my time in Iceland as well. So we're reading the runes this morning. And what I do when people are not with me, there are 24 runes. And so that you can choose a rune, I ask you to select a number between 1 and 24. If you want a reading, there will be quick fire readings, and then I will pull out the rune for you and read it. You could also, if you wanted, put a question. You could put a question with the number if you have a question that you would like that rune to apply to, but they are very, very short readings. Okay, Christine, we've got number 7. So let's pull out number 7. And I will say, and I'm just casting it for you now. Now, we've got a rune here that it looks like an angular H. It's known as Hagalaz or Hagli, which means hail. And it does say that, although there are some difficulties that you are having to navigate around at the moment, and you can't really avoid doing that, it reminds you that life brings light and shade, and that often when we are working with life's hurdles, if I can put them like that, it is when we grow the most. But with this rune, there is encouragement to remember that all of these times that we find slightly more difficult, they come to pass. And it's important to remember that this Christmas, because Christmas is a time for upliftment, it's a time for celebration, it's a time for peace as much as we can inner peace, regardless of whether we celebrate Christmas in a religious sense, whether we celebrate something else like the winter solstice, celebrate both or an entirely different festival, or maybe even just have a quiet time. We don't always have to celebrate because everybody else is, and it's often good to remember that. But this rune encourages you to see that what is around you at the moment as a stepping stone, as something to be worked through and around. And I will leave that with you. Now let's see what the next number 1 for Naila. Okay. And I apologize if I don't pronounce names correctly. I do the best I can. So I'm just going to cast this for you because the way I work with them, how they fall matters. Right. We have a rune here that is known as Kenaz or Kaun. It's coming upside down, which means it's a little bit like a light shade. This isn't bad, not at all, but it does tell me that at the moment you're not able to see the way clearly. It is literally like, when there is a lampshade, we don't get the full power of the light. But just to remember that that light is there, it hasn't disappeared. But also when this rune is here, we're often waiting for clarity on something, or we're waiting for more information on a situation, or it's just not quite the right time. But it does encourage us to still think ahead, to still use our imagination, to still think about what we would like to create, because that is an important part of the process. And this rune is also about healing, inner healing, the kind of healing that is about inner development usually. So I would like to leave these thoughts with you. Thank you for working with me. Okay, Eve, number 3, Eva. Just going to cast it for you. Excellent. Right, you have got dagar, which means day. I know in Swedish it means days, as in multiple day. But in Icelandic it means day, one day. And it's literally talking about the new day and going forwards. But when it falls the way it has here, where it looks like an egg timer, it is impressing me that before that new day can really be there, you are looking at a little bit of a pause, not a big pause, but a little bit of a pause, a little bit of a waiting time. In other words, it's not quite the right time yet for that new day to dawn, but you can still work on it. But if it doesn't quite come to fruition, just to remember that it's not quite the right time. And you're also encouraged to take a time out to not just to enjoy Christmas, but I want to wish you a restful Christmas rather than a very active Christmas, which means, of course, there can be plenty of time for social life and doing Christmas things, but just to factor restful times within that, because when dagar is in what I call the pause position, we are encouraged to take a little bit more time for ourselves and to enjoy that and to realize that we deserve it. So thank you. Now let's see who we have next. Kelly, okay, number 17. Just going to cast the rune for you. Excellent. So this is a lovely rune. It's open to the sky. It's open to inspiration. So there is an encouragement here to be open to inspiration, to be open to creativity, to be open to new ideas, because now and in the near future, life wants to bring this to you. But you do have to be open to the possibilities. Otherwise, it's hard for those possibilities to come in. It's hard for ideas to be made anything of if you're not open to grasping them. And also when this rune is there, it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to seek further information. But there is a little bit of a sense of adventure that comes in with it, which is nice. So if I can leave that with you. Now let's see who else has a number. Number 3 for Terry. Okay. Well, this happens in mysterious ways sometimes. We have dagar again, and this was the same rune that came out for Eva, but it's in its going forwards, not its pause position, which is actually saying there's something new that's either around you now or in the very near future. Now, when we talk about something new, It doesn't always have to be absolutely major, like moving house. It can be a new hobby or a new friendship or a new way of approaching something. But there's something new here. I want to say new for the new year in a pleasing way, because that's what this rune is telling me. So you're being encouraged to embrace a new day, to think in terms of what is it around you and in your life, if it's not there already, as it may be. What is it that you would like to create? What is it that you would like to see dawning? Because when this rune appears, it is an encouraging sign for anything new that you would like to create. And it's often about a new aspect of your pathway, occasionally a new pathway. But it can be just a new aspect, or it can be that the whole of life changes. And we have to wait and see how that manifests, but I think you would already have ideas on it. So if I can leave that with you. Oh, we have number 3 as well. This rune is popular today. Let's see how Dago wants to fall this time. Okay, and it's fallen again in the upright position. So, Edwina, very much the meaning that I gave to the previous lady is going to apply to you. But I'm going to feel into it a little bit. And as I'm feeling into it, I want to say I'm drawn forwards to the month of February in particular, for the feeling of being able to move forwards or to make progress with something that you would dearly like to make progress with, starting much more with more momentum. I feel from either the last couple of days of January or the beginning of February that there's a time here of something that you want to work towards, but that you're probably already working towards, but that you should be able to get more momentum, more forward momentum at that time. Now, does that make sense for you? Okay, excellent. Now, who do we have next? Okay, I don't know if we've frozen. I know I haven't, because I can see myself speaking on the screen. Right, do we have anybody else with a number? Okay. Right, do you have a number? Or would you like, Cloetta, would you like me to pick a number for you? Because I can pick a rune for you. That's your other option, is asking me to choose. Okay, Ian would like number 5. We haven't had number 5. I will say the runes don't have numbers ascribed to them. It's just the way I lay them out on the table when you're not with me, so that you would be able to choose. This is a lovely rune. This is known as Hour, which means year. It's also known as Yera, which means good harvest. Who doesn't like a good harvest? And this rune is very much about building more contentment, and that you're approaching a stage now where you can start to build more contentment into your life. Now, this rune is about success, but I always say it's never about the kind of success where somebody is doing well financially, but they're miserable. It has to be success in terms of contentment, and it prevails over 12 months. So this is a process. It's not one happening. It's a process that should be there for you over the next 12 months, where you're able to build more contentment into your life during that period. Not suggesting that you have to wait 12 months to succeed, but it's a process over time that you're bringing in more things that you feel content with in your life, and can say, well, maybe there's still things you're aspiring to, but there's more that you're happy about with the stage that you're at. And that's what this rune encourages you. You have to, in a way, work for it, but the wind is at your back. It's not like swimming against the tide or walking into a fierce wind. So life, I also say this is two hands working in partnership. And when two hands work in partnership, it's, life is helping us a little bit. It's not making it hard. And the other meaning of oar is the same word is the oar of a boat. Now there are two oars here, so therefore you don't have to go round in circles unless you want to. So that's what I will leave with you. Hopefully that is meaningful for you, Ian. All right, number 6 here. Okay, we have this rune which looks like an X. It's known as Gjöf, which means gift, which is a Christmas theme, isn't it? Very much so. But it's also about the gifts that we receive and the gifts that we give and the decisions that we make. And this rune is telling us, whenever it appears, that there are choices, at least a choice and a decision to be made. It's not always heavy and onerous, but it's a more important decision than what pair of shoes to buy, for example. And we know that when we sign a contract, X marks the spot where we sign. Now, this is very much about the kind of decision. What can I commit to doing? What can I commit to having? There's a commitment involved in the decision. Now, of course, if we start a new relationship, everybody knows that is a commitment. But if we move house, then there's a commitment to the new property. And if we undertake a course, there's a commitment to that course. If we, even if we decide to take an important holiday, then there's a commitment to doing it. And this does indeed talk about the commitment angle. But what this rune also tends to promise is that in committing to something new, there should be an unexpected benefit. That's something that you did not expect. Now, it can be something like, for example, people move house and the neighbours are unexpectedly nice. Or you go on holiday and, there's something about it that's better than you expected that you couldn't have known in advance. But if you hadn't made that commitment, then you couldn't have discovered that benefit of whatever kind it was. So this is the rune that I would like to leave with you. Right, number 14. Okay. I'm just going to cast the rune for you. Excellent. This is a lovely rune. This is known as fair, which means sheep, or fairhu, and it is about wealth, but it's not the kind of wealth where money or property. In the olden days, this would represent, and this word means sheep in Icelandic, it would represent the sheep, the cattle, the tools of a person's trade. In other words, everything that they had that could generate sustenance in the present time or generate more wealth for the future, because obviously if you've got sheep or you've got cattle, well then you can produce more sheep or more cattle. If you're planting, vegetables, you can kind of use the roots to develop more vegetables. If you're planting trees, you can develop more trees. So this is talking about what you've got around you in your life that would be of benefit to you now, but that you can also use, perhaps applying your talents or skills in different ways for your own wealth now and going forwards in the future. But I will stress that wealth does not have to be financial. It can be a feeling of enjoyment. For example, This room will often show if somebody is moving from a job they don't particularly like to generating an income from a hobby that they love. They may not make as much money, but their sense of wealth, their sense of well-being will be that much greater because they enjoy what they're doing. So this room is encouraging you to make the most of your talents and abilities in ways that both you and others can enjoy. So I will leave that with you. Right, do we have another? Because I have time for one more, I believe. Okay, no, we are, right, Anne Thomas, you're going to have to be the last because we're now at the end of the 20 minutes. So I will just read this rune very, very quickly. Okay, this rune is known as One-Yo. It looks like an angular P, and it has come in with the top pointing towards the right, which One-Yo, it comes from the words that give us the English words win and joy. And who doesn't want to win through into joy, regardless of whether it is Christmas? There is a sense of winning through here of, you know how when we have to put effort into something to make it go the way we want, and maybe it hasn't and it needs to, and then we feel so good when it finally does. In other words, we appreciate it that much more. It's that much sweeter. With this rune, that is what it is telling you. But the fact that it is pointing towards the right here, it is also encouraging you to be bolder. There is a sense here of being bold, making sure you hold your self-confidence high, making sure you don't, in a way, play small or sell yourself short, as my mother would say. It's important to be bold and to be proud of what you have to offer, what you have come through, and to look forwards to the future with a sense of boldness, with the goal of winning through into joy. Thank you for working with me, ladies and gentlemen. It has been an absolute pleasure. I am available on Christmas Day at 11:45 at Universal Spiritualism. I'm one of their Christmas Day mediums, when I will be bringing messages from loved ones, your loved ones in spirit. If you want to find out more about me, I do have a website. It is K Cook Spirit Wings, and my books are available on Amazon under the author name K, then T Cook. So it's Kay, then capital T, full stop, and Cook. So that is what I would like to leave you with, and of course to wish you Merry Christmas.